Welcome to the latest episode of the Enriched Wealth Podcast. Today I'm joined by Dan. Dan is one of our senior advisors, senior associates of the Strategem firm. And so we're going to be talking to Dan a bit today. Welcome, Dan.
Hi, Kris. Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. So, Dan, there's probably people out there that are listening that know you. There's probably other ones that don't. Give us a bit of a background to you, who you are, how you came to Strategem, and we'll sort of go from there.
No worries. Well, as you mentioned, I'm one of our advisors here at the firm. I've been a part of the Strategem team for about 12 years now.
Excellent.
Actually started as a grad out of uni, and have stuck around ever since. So it's been an enjoyable place to work, and I guess that's why I'm still here after 12 years.
Excellent, very good. And you're now senior associate as well too, so on the leadership team at Strategem?
Yep. I was fortunate enough to join the associate program, I suppose a couple of years or so ago now, and it's just been a fantastic opportunity to be a part of the leadership team and get a bit of a different look at the business.
Excellent, that's really good. So if we, you mentioned that you came out as a grad from uni. So what did you study at uni that led you to come into a career of numbers and financial planning and things like that?
Yeah, so it's actually a bit of a funny story. So it was an accounting degree that I completed at uni, which I actually sort of fell into. I think it went back to year 11. I was enrolling in VCE, and I actually enrolled in an economics subject, which the school didn't have the numbers to fill the subject, so I got moved across to accounting, and actually enjoyed it and enrolled or applied for an accounting degree at La Trobe, and sort of followed a path from there.
So you, by fate and chance, you ended up in accounting, but you're obviously not an accountant now. So what was it within the degree that you thought, this is not what I want to do? Was it when you got out and went, I don't know if that's the path I want to take, or?
Yeah, I think I guess the accounting degree itself is pretty broad, and we certainly got exposure to things like shares and investments, and I think that's sort of where I've seen the light, so to speak, and seen what else is out there.
Yep.
The accountants or anything like that. But
no, we love accountants. That's
certainly a good grounding, and I guess it was some of the exposure I got through that degree that led me to where I am.
So that real interest in that finance share space, and that was sort of your early years at Strategem were probably defined even more by that, weren't they? So what did you start off doing as a grad?
So I joined the investment services team, essentially in an administration role, and had quite a bit to do with the share dealing desk at the time, and got a lot of exposure to direct shares and share trading and investments as part of that role, and which sort of continued to grow on me over time, I guess. Yeah,
great. And we're going to come back to talking a bit about investments later, because it's a bit of an evolving thing that's going on at Strategem with investments at the moment. Exciting to talk about, so we'll come back to that. Want to talk about so you're now seeing clients, you're a senior financial planner. If you could put in a couple of words what financial planning is, because I think there's a few misconceptions out there. There's a few things where, is that what you do? I had no idea. Based off what I just saw my children write for Father's Day, they still don't know what Dad does at all, which is fine. I'm not holding that against them, but there is a bit of confusion out there. So if you could talk about what financial planning is, so people get a bit more of an understanding of it, what would you define it as?
Yep. Well, I suppose it's a pretty broad field, and I totally get the confusion. Some of my friends probably still think I'm an accountant based on going to uni and doing an accounting degree, but I guess financial planning is pretty broad. We, I guess, as planners, we help a wide demographic of clients. I've got clients from mid-20s right up to 90s. Part of that is sort of formulating strategies and plans to, I guess, help clients achieve their goals, and that's a big part of what we do is, I guess, helping clients determine where they are now, where they want to go into the future, and I guess, formulating strategies and investment plans to help them achieve those goals.
Because I think that's a bit of the misconception. Sometimes people think we're stock pickers, don't they? And so there's sort of, can you tell me which stock to buy? We're probably start a bit broader than that, don't we? So, when you talk about strategies, what kind of strategies are you sort of alluding to? What are some of the ways that you've sort of helped clients in that space?
Yeah. So I mean, strategies can range from anything around investment structures and I suppose having your funds in the most tax effective environments, but there's also things like investment strategies. I guess looking at risk tolerances, the level of risk, and I suppose trying to balance that off with, I guess, achieving as high a possible return with that risk as well.
Yeah, I think that's a big one, isn't it? Because I think a lot of people think it's all about getting the most return, but in a lot of ways, I try and explain that we want to see the maximum return, but the least amount of risk in that process as well, too, don't we? So when we're meeting clients, it's not about getting the most money for them. It's about saying, well, how do we protect the nest egg as well, isn't it? So there's strategies around that. It's thinking through that asset allocation, isn't it? That's really key to that process.
Yeah, 100%. We're not here to make people rich quickly. It's and
lose it quickly as well.
Exactly. As I mean, returns is one part of it, but then there's also, I guess, over time is actually building up investment portfolios with contributions and things like that as well. So quite a lot to look at. Yeah,
and I know you probably don't get in the insurance space as much, but you look at insurance as well as part of that, and we're going to touch on a little bit later on, but you're also a specialist in aged care, so you've got a really broad range of expertise. You can help from growth accumulation right through to those later stages in life as well.
Yep, 100%.
Yep. No, that's really good. If there's one thing you wish your clients knew more about financial planning, what would it be? What would be that one thing for you that if you could say to every client, this is one thing I'd love you to understand about financial planning, what would it be?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think maybe it is just understanding that it is more than just purely just investment that we look at. That there's plenty of other parts or aspects of your life and finances that we can focus on, and I think even just having an understanding of what goes into formulating a plan in the background. The client just doesn't come in and spend half an hour with us and we find all the solutions and away we go. It's a lot more detailed than that. There's a lot of work that goes into, I guess, researching the client's background and getting a really good understanding of their situation and, I guess, the strategies that we can put in place.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing people don't always appreciate is that if you pull one lever, that can impact 4 or 5 other levers as well too. So making sure that when we're building those plans, that we're actually not impacting the estate or we're not impacting other wishes and ideas for the client as well too. So that's
absolutely. There's a lot of trade-offs in what we do, and sometimes it's not always a black and white answer. It's balancing the trade-offs to, I guess, get the most optimum outcome for the client and their needs.
No, that's really good. Can we talk? I want to talk about some examples because you've been around for a while now, helped a lot of clients. So what's one or two standout examples for you where you've really helped a client, and sort of we can give a bit more context around some of the numbers and just the idea of just some of the ways that we've helped clients over the journey as well. Love to hear some of your stories.
Yeah. So probably, I guess one that sort of happened more recently. One of my clients. Who's sort of semi-retired, but I guess tinkers around a little bit with properties and sort of buys some old sort of rundown properties and renovates and sells them. I suppose almost flipping houses, so to speak. But he realised some pretty big capital gains from the sale of one of these properties recently, and we were able to, based on his situation and where his super balance was, we were able to, I guess, utilise some contribution caps from prior years to maximise some, I guess, his tax deduction. We were able to bring his taxable income down by tens of thousands of dollars, which we were able to save a lot of income tax, which he was quite grateful for, and it also aligned with we were able to increase his super as well. So it's a bit of a win-win situation.
So we were able to, one, increase the super balance, two, save the tax.
Yep.
Which means that in a sense, we were retaining those capital gains rather than giving away a large portion to the taxman, and not saying that we do anything outside the laws. We always like to stay inside the rules, but if we know the rules, then we can maximise the rules. And I think that's the thing is, these rules are changing all the time. So if we can maximise them, that's a great outcome. And I assume the client was really grateful for what you were able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was rapt. I think whenever we can save someone quite a bit in tax, they're generally pretty happy.
Yes. Yep. I haven't heard anyone get frustrated with paying less tax. So no, that's a good one. Is there any others that stand out for you, or any ones that you've helped that sort of just in your mind is sort of that confirmation of why you do the job? Because it's still a job, but as part of that, we really get to help people. And I think they're the times that we get to go, like the example you've given, where it's that really means something to that client, and you feel good about it as well too. Because sometimes it can be a bit of a thankless job sometimes. Where go for it. What?
Yeah, I think another one was not necessarily so much what we did, but it was just the peace of mind we were able to offer. So I had a couple come in that were, I guess in the early 60s and sort of thinking about retirement, and,
Yes.
and had certainly had quite a bit of concern around whether or not they'd be able to retire and live out the lifestyle that they wanted to. And we certainly did some work around consolidating their super and making sure that they're invested appropriately, and some strategies around that. But at the end of the day, the modelling we did was able to demonstrate that based on where they were, based on where we sort of think they'll go, they'll be able to sustain their lifestyle through retirement, and essentially they could retire tomorrow, which funnily enough they did pull the pin on work pretty well straight away. But just the relief that you can see from a client when you can tell them that they can afford to retire, and they're not going to run out of money, and they can sleep at night. That's certainly one of the rewarding parts of the job.
Yeah, and I think when I know for clients I've dealt with, that modelling that we talk about, it's that financial modelling. You've got these charts where you can show, hey, here's what you're living off, here's what we expect to get from returns from your investments. It's never a perfect thing, but it's a really good guide to sort of say here's how it is, and you can pull it out in future years and show where you're tracking. So that great example, and I think that's the thing is, it's just giving people that reassurance that they can go guilt-free and have that holiday and do those things they need to do. So
yeah, absolutely.
No, that's really good. So if we mentioned a bit earlier about investments. So I want to talk a bit more about that, and I want to talk a little bit about where we've come from, because you've obviously been around Strategem for a while, so you've sort of got a bit of our ethos around how we invest and how we build portfolios for clients. So I want to talk a bit about what we currently do, and then where we're sort of heading, and we hopefully it may actually be out by the time this podcast is, but we sort of want to talk about what's coming next for us, and how that's evolving, and how we're changing a little bit. When I say a little bit, we're changing quite a bit around what we're doing in terms of investment management, to bring a better experience for clients. So let's talk first about where we've been. I'd love to hear from you. You've been on the ground with that for many years now, in many different ways. So how have we built portfolios for clients in the past? What's sort of been that process for us?
Yeah, so I guess, everything we do is I guess as tailored as possible around the client's needs, and that's sort of been quite reflected in our the way we manage portfolios on behalf of clients. It's quite bespoke and very tailored, and I think it's a great service that we offer. But I guess just the way the industry is set up, very much how we rebalance portfolios is generally.
So when we talk about rebalancing, what are we doing in those scenarios?
Yep. So basically, part of rebalancing is we look at the risk profile of the client, look at the level of risk that they're currently invested in, and I guess we need to determine, are we taking on too much risk? Do we have scope to increase the level of risk, and what that entails is, I guess, making sure that we've got the portfolio set up to optimise returns and I guess minimise risk, as we sort of mentioned earlier. Yeah. So and that can come down to specific asset classes and holdings where we might be overweight in a certain asset class, like Australian shares or international shares or whatever it might be. So
and a lot of the returns come from the asset class, don't they? So it's not specifically a share. It's being exposed to Australian shares, isn't it? Like that's where a lot of
correct. We generally we sort of look at asset classes rather than individual holdings as such, because part of our job is to diversify, and we want to get a spread of investments across asset classes and also within a certain asset class.
Yep.
Very much, and this is just the way the industry's been, is part of how we rebalance, and getting authority off clients it generally happens as part of the review cycles, whether it's on an annual basis or a quarterly basis or whatever that might be. We basically sit down and rebalance, the portfolio at that point in time.
The other thing we do there is we probably review some of the individual investments as well, don't we? Yep. So it's bigger than just a rebalance of the portfolio.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah, so we're monitoring the investments, and if there's anything that's been downgraded by our research houses or upgraded, then we'll look to make switches with individual funds, or in some cases individual stocks and that sort of thing.
And we're looking at managers in that scenario as well too, aren't we? If there's fund managers that maybe are underperforming or aren't getting the returns we need, we're looking at that as well too. Is that that's correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we're looking at our portfolios are made up of a number of managed funds, active and passive funds, so we're always looking to ensure that those investments are achieving what they set out to do.
Yeah. Excellent. So that's sort of been the ethos up until now. These custom portfolios, each client comes in, gets that service. But probably, what are some of you touched on a little bit? What are some of the issues with everyone having a custom portfolio? Firstly,
I guess the issue with it is, and we've had some scenarios where there might be a certain investment that we decide we need to get out of this. And to implement that across the whole client base is a timely, it's a time-consuming task. We have to get out to every client, get their authority to actually get out of that investment, get advice produced, signed off on, and that sort of thing. So that can take quite a bit of time. We can't just pull the trigger on a particular day and go, all right, we're getting out of this and investing the proceeds into X investment. It's it's really it's a clunky process.
We're not able to be very agile in that scenario.
Correct.
Yeah, and that can be an issue in time, can't it?
So, yeah, that's right. So it's obviously on best endeavours we get out to everyone as quick as we can, but ideally if we can find a lever to pull the trigger for everyone at once, we get a much better outcome for our clients.
So let's talk a bit about. So we've been on a bit of a journey, and we've probably been on it for the last 12 to 18 months. Haven't we really starting to think through how do we do this differently? How do we do it better for clients? And this is all around that idea of how do we get better at being agile and delivering to clients on a better, more regular basis. So talk a bit about the process we've been on as part of that journey, because I think it hasn't been just a select something and away we go. We've sort of really worked through that, haven't we? You've been leading that project, so that's why I'm looking to you for the insights on that.
Yeah. So we sort of sat down as a team 12 or 18 months ago, and we really had a good look at how we're currently doing things, and what can we do to build on that and improve it. And at the end of the day, we want to get the best possible outcomes for our clients. So we went out and had a look at what's happening in the market with latest trends and what our peers are doing and everything like that, and really looking at ways where we can sort of stay at the forefront of investment solutions for our clients. So we looked at various structures. That there's a lot of different options out there, and we've learned a hell of a lot through the process as well, which has been really good.
A lot of meetings, a lot of
meetings, a lot of interviews, and we went through a pretty rigorous process to ultimately. What we've done is we've appointed an external asset consultant that we can basically leverage off them to help, create a more efficient way of running our client portfolios with the main intention to get a better outcome for our clients and those portfolios.
So we've gone through, obviously, a really good interview process. So we've now selected an asset consultant. So what does an asset consultant bring to Strategem that we probably haven't had in the past in that area?
Yeah. So essentially, what an asset consultant brings to us is, I guess, take a step back. Currently, with the way we manage our investments, we utilise a lot of research and everything like that to I guess, determine the best investments for clients. I guess what an external asset consultant does is takes that to the next level, where we can actually tap into a team of professional portfolio managers. We can get access to best-in-class investments. We can get access to institutional type products, but still be able to deliver it to our retail clients, essentially.
Excellent. So we're able to get access to lower cost investments, a better range of investments, but also better and more timely research as well too, where we're not driving we're trying to drive the research. We're actually sitting down with people who day in and day out look at international shares, look at Australian shares. Is correct in saying that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it just allows us more time to focus on strategy, and when clients come in for reviews and conversations, we can spend probably a little bit less time talking about specific investments and more time about talking strategies and some real value add, I guess, options that we can provide.
Great. So we've picked our asset consultant, and so what for us the next stage is then what does that mean for us as a group now? How does that change how we approach things?
Yeah. So what it'll entail is that so we're basically we've engaged this firm to help us run our portfolios, and I guess essentially the structure that we're implementing is what's called a managed account, and what it allows us to do is still tailor portfolios around our clients' existing holdings. The beautiful thing about a managed account is we can transfer assets in and out. So unlike a unitised product that
say a managed fund or something
like a managed fund that a lot of people are familiar with, where you just get units within the product, the investor essentially owns the underlying investments, whether that is managed funds or shares or whatever it might be. So basically it gives us some flexibility to transfer assets in and out, which can help with some, I guess, tax optimisation strategies, and just avoids unnecessary transaction costs to move money in and out of such a structure.
And we talked about in the past, the structure we've had hasn't necessarily always been agile. It's been really good, but we've just missed that missing piece of being agile and being able to move with, let's say, something happens with what's going on. We can move quickly, like we just had a downturn recently, and so it's very hard to get agile with 300 and over 300 clients and all the things that we have to do there. So how does this change that nature for us?
Yeah, so it basically allows us to be more proactive, so we can, I guess, rebalance portfolios on a more regular basis.
So is that what, quarterly, monthly?
Yeah, so it's basically, it'll be at least quarterly, and sometimes more often as needed, depending on movements in markets and that sort of thing. If there's a sharp movement in say equity markets up or down, it allows us to I guess be agile and take advantage of movements in markets to either take some profit or top up whatever the scenario might be.
And those choices can roll out quite quickly across clients' portfolios.
Yeah, exactly. So once we've got a client within this structure, it allows us to basically make the transaction and provide an update after the fact, rather than sending out a detailed advice document that the client then has to sign off on. It can take sort of weeks to go through this process. Basically, we'll have the ability to make a change and then basically provide the client with an update within 24 hours, so they know exactly what's going on. We're able to sort of take care of it. And I guess going back to that scenario where we want to get out of a particular investment, we can basically pull the trigger and do it across the board today, or instantly, rather than it can take weeks, months, whatever to get out to all of our clients. So it's allows us to, I suppose, be fairer as far as everyone's getting the same result, and it just allows us to be a lot more agile.
And for clients too, they'll get to see more reporting through this process as well, won't they? So if they're within this structure, they'll get updates on a much more regular basis as well too.
Yeah. So what we're looking at doing is we'll have monthly updates that go out to clients as well as quarterly updates, and really keep the clients well informed of what's going on in their portfolios, and I guess our thoughts on where things are going and what we're looking to implement.
Great. So from if I summarise it, we've got access to better investments. We've got access to better research. We're then more agile, so we can move within 24 hours if we need to. If something happens, we're gonna be ongoing, maintaining portfolios on a more regular basis, and then getting more updates as well too. It sounds like a great outcome for clients and for you guys to be able to deliver that service that you want to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. We're essentially able to get, I guess, institutional quality or great investments for our clients, but still offer sort of that boutique tailored service for our clients that they're used to receiving over the years.
That's really great. That's a good outcome. I love that, and I think if anyone's interested or wants to talk more about it, Daniel's there. Our other advisors are there. Everyone's been through this process together, hasn't it? It hasn't sort of been a project that's sat over the side. All the advisors have been in this process and part of it, because we really want to make sure that everyone feels part of the process, but also feels like they're part of the portfolio construction and management of these as well too, because we really want it to be a firm-wide approach to what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got 100% buy-in from the team, and really excited to launch this launch the managed account suite, or the Strategem portfolio service. It is. We're not too far off launching, which we're really
Excellent.
looking forward to it.
Excellent. Well, that's really good to hear. I touched earlier on aged care. Aged care is another area that you've actually gone off and done some specialist training on as well too.
Yeah.
If I was thinking about aged care, if you could summarise it? Because I think a lot of times people think, aged care isn't for me, but a lot of times you're actually working with the children of people going into aged care. So it's less about informing the person going into aged care and more about informing that next generation who is dealing with an aging parent. So can you just talk a little bit about aged care, and then we can talk a little bit about how we've helped some clients along the way, and just some of the things people should be thinking about or aware of as part of that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, aged care itself is as it suggested, it's generally that sort of care stage for, I guess, individuals that are sort of coming to generally it's their later stages in life as their health sort of deteriorates, and I guess can't care for themselves, so to speak. The aged care system's come a long way over the years. That the government sort of introduced home care packages and that sort of thing these days. So certainly, I guess people can stay at home for longer and receive some care. I guess the inevitable for some people is they do end up in an aged care facility. And that can be a very stressful time for families, particularly if they haven't had a conversation prior to it happening.
And might I say, because I've seen this firsthand in my family and also with clients, it can happen very quickly. It can sort of be someone has a fall, someone's in hospital, and then all of a sudden someone's going into care. It's not usually a planned out event. A lot of times it's usually the hand is forced by something else occurring, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's a lot of the cases we see where something's happened. There's been an accident or some sort of medical episode. Client goes into hospital, and then all of a sudden they find themselves in respite, and the family's sort of scrambling to, I guess, work out what's next and how do we manage the whole transition into aged care. And it's not just there's obviously financial aspects. It's a bit of a complicated system, but I guess just mentally, and it is a time-consuming process. But it's generally at a time of high stress for families and their loved ones.
Yeah, which is what you don't need. In those scenarios, too, a lot of times people feel like they have to drum up money straight away. There is a bit of a lead time, though, isn't there? Like there is a bit of time to prepare or come and talk to someone like yourself. It's not that you have to it's not that you forcibly there are time frames, but just want to talk a little bit around how that looks so that people can sort of go, if something happens, I've got time to come and talk to someone and do a bit of planning so that we're not making rash decisions or decisions that down the track we regret for whatever reason.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a layer of costs, or there's multiple levels of cost for aged care, and there's always this common misconception that aged care is very, very expensive. It's actually, in my eyes, it's actually quite a fair system, and I mean we're seeing some inquiries now to, I guess, adjust or there's a bit of a review into the system now because some of these facilities probably aren't making a lot of profit, but there's you certainly got more time. These facilities advertise accommodation deposits and that sort of thing, but you don't have to necessarily stump that up before you go in. There's a bit of time, and there's multiple ways that we can fund the aged care costs, and I guess that's where we come to the table to help clients is I guess find a lot of the aged care advice we provide is around cash flow and just making sure that we can cover the day-to-day living of clients and their aged care costs and everything like that.
So it is, as you said, quite a fair system, and you've seen probably a range of clients over the years with different asset bases go into care. So it's not about you have to have a certain amount of money to go in. Is it? So for a lot of people, sometimes they worry that, well, if I don't have X, I probably can't get the care I need. But it is a system that actually affords everyone the opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah. The way the system's set up is that everyone should be able to get access to aged care, whether they're high net wealth or don't have a lot of money. The system's set up for everybody. So it's just a matter of how we actually fund it and what that looks like.
Yeah, and if we talk for a couple of minutes around some of the decisions people have to make when they go into aged care, and one is the house is one, isn't it? There's usually a house that they've been living in. So do they have to sell that right away? Does that impact what they're doing? I know there's Centrelink tests and different things like that. So what are some of the things that people need to be mindful of that decisions have to be made about?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the time we do see it's generally when the last member of a couple's left, they might go into care and they've got this house. So a lot of the times it can make sense to sell the house to I guess cover the cost of a bond. But that's not necessarily a must. There's other ways around it, and I mean we've got to take into account a lot of considerations depending on the actual individual's health. What their sort of outlook is, and I mean we never know. We never really know what that looks like, but I guess we can sort of provide some solutions based on different time frames so that I guess the individual and generally their power of attorney or the kids can sort of get an understanding of what the different outcomes might look like. But there's a lot of other things to consider as well. Sometimes it makes sense to utilise superannuation from I guess an estate tax point of view. If there's some taxable components in super, then it may make sense to use money out of super to, I guess, take or reduce the tax and legislative risk in relation to their superannuation balance. Depending on what strategies we implement, it can affect age pension, and that comes back to the house as well. Depending on how long you might keep the house for can then affect your age pension entitlement down the track. Sometimes there might be a protected person or a spouse in the house, so it's balancing off a lot of trade-offs to again make sure that the client's comfortable and we can get the cash flow right to make sure they can sleep at night and don't have to stress.
Well, I'm glad you've done the training, got the expertise, Daniel, because there is a bit there to think about, and I think that's the thing people need to be conscious of, that it may not be you going to aged care, it may be your parents or even grandparents, and so it's really being able to understand what's going to happen for them as well too, and sometimes it is just being able to have those open conversations with your loved ones, isn't it? Around
absolutely, and every client situation is different, so it's what we do for one person might be different to someone else. So it's highly recommended to do sit down with an advisor when the time comes, or even start the conversation prior to that, just to I guess give that peace of mind that when the time does come, we can put some strategies in place to make sure that the transition's as seamless as possible.
Yeah. Excellent. Now I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that weren't on the list, Daniel. I did give Daniel a couple of questions beforehand. I'm going to ask him a couple outside the square, but I think you should be right to answer them. You will know them. For people out there that listening that might be thinking about a career in financial planning, who are sort of saying, "Oh, this all actually sounds quite interesting. I want to get more involved." What's some of the things that you would recommend they do as a starting point? Obviously, a degree is one of them, but are there other things they can be thinking through? What are some of the things they should be interested in if they are going to do it? What's it like day to day? Is it sitting watching the stock market go down up and down all day? Is it problems like what are some of the elements that you find you're dealing with on a daily basis in financial planning that maybe uni didn't get you ready for, or that you were like, I didn't think this was going to be part of the job, but it's actually that's a big part of it.
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, we're all to a certain degree generalist. You know, that it's quite a broad field that we deal with in the financial planning industry, but certainly that there's scope to specialise in certain areas, and we've got Adam on the team that specialises in insurance, and myself and Michael that specialise in aged care. So that there's a lot of aspects within financial planning that you can actually specialise if you have a particular area that you are interested in. But yeah, in saying that, I guess you still to a certain extent need to have a bit of a general knowledge of markets and investments and different structures and superannuation and that sort of thing. But it's really the sky's the limit with where you want to go to. That there's advisors out there that are very, very specialise in what they do and just look at very specific strategies and issues, and then there's other firms that provide a lot more general exposure.
And day to day for you, what do you find are you doing day to day? It's not all just watching the stock market or researching the next managed fund or things like that, is it?
No, that's right. I think with the client base I've got, I get exposure to a broad range of issues. So yeah.
And you do a bit of travelling in that too, don't you?
Do a bit of travelling, get out to the country a little bit, and occasionally down to the end of the city in Melbourne. But got, as I said earlier, I've got clients that range from mid-20s into their 90s. So they've all got different issues, and not every day is the same. So we get exposure to a lot of different areas, which is what I love, and get to build a lot of relationships with a wide demographic of clients. Yeah,
and financial planning isn't sort of a silo profession, is it? Like you're dealing with other professions as well. So who are some of the other professionals that you sort of bump into as part of your process?
So it's financial planning is just part of clients' overall, I suppose, situation, and obviously being with an accounting firm, we work alongside accountants pretty closely, and that's not always in-house. We do have clients with other relationships. Solicitors is a big one. A fair chunk of what we do is based around estate planning and making sure we've got things covered for the future. So we work pretty closely with solicitors at times, mortgage brokers, and I guess the other specialised areas as well. Just to as I said, sometimes we're a little bit of a generalist, and we need to bring other professionals in to get the best outcomes for our clients.
Yeah, I certainly don't think we're in a position to write wills or during power of attorney. So no, I think that's one of the key things is that we're not here to be everything for the client. We're here to make sure that the client gets everything they need, and we'll bring in those people as we need as part of that process.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's to be able to work with a lot of different professionals. It's you get exposure to a lot of other aspects in the client's life, which is just makes our job, I guess, easier, and we're able to really tailor solutions around that.
No, that's really good. If you could leave listeners with one last thing to think about, or one take-home message, what would be something that you'd like to remind our listeners or our viewers about?
I think the biggest thing is just don't put off what you can do today. So the sooner you can take action, whether it's building a retirement plan or building wealth or whatever it might be, the sooner you can get onto these things, generally the better the outcome will be in the longer term.
And I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think too often we hear we should have done this 5-10 years ago, and it's get onto it and get it sorted. Yep.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, Daniel, it's been a pleasure having you on today. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for your thoughts around investments. Exciting to hear about the investment solutions we're bringing to Strategem to increase that client experience and what we can do for clients and just everything that you've done today. It's been great. And for everyone out there, don't delay. If you need to take action today. Thank you.
Thanks, Kris. Thanks for having me.